My name is Anthony Esposito, and I'm here to talk to you about my short horror film called Devil's Night. After a girl breaks up with a boyfriend after a Ouija board game, he becomes possessed and she must run and fight for her life. Dan Patrick, heavy male shirt, beard, walks into the living room holding a bunch of beers. He gives one to his girlfriend, Karen Davis, video game nerd, and the other two to Chris Simpson and Alice O'Neill. Has a football player build, and Alice is girl next door, pretty and petite. They're all sitting around playing a board game. Karen suggests that they play something else because apparently the board game they're playing is boring. So Chris suggests that Dan grab his Ouija board, spice things up. After all, it is Halloween Eve. So Dan grabs the Ouija board, places it on the table. They convince the girls to play, even though the girls do not want to play. They convince them to play, and they all put their fingers on the planchette, and Dan starts asking questions. Question after question. Eventually, this something starts communicating. It's obvious it's a spirit or something. Karen is scared. Alice is scared also. But Karen takes her fingers off the planchette. She don't want to play anymore. So Dan convinces her just to keep going. It'll be fun. It's Halloween Eve, baby. So she puts her finger back on the planchette. Dan asks if this thing is good. The planchette goes to no. The lights start to flicker. The tables start to rumble. They all take their fingers off the planchette, looking at each other in shock, and everything goes back to normal. The girls are done. They don't want to play anymore. Matter of fact, Alice wants Chris to take him home. So Chris, he's got to do what he's got to do. He's taking her home. Karen wants to go home also, but Karen goes to talk to Dan. She suggests that her and Dan, maybe it's time they take a break. Dan is bewildered. What is going on? Over a board game? Really? No, it's more than that. Maybe we'll talk tomorrow. Yada, yada, yada. And she leaves with Chris and Alice. Now, Dan is left by himself. He's pissed because that's absolutely ridiculous. And pissed off Dan goes and grabs more beers. Pissed off Dan goes and grabs a bottle of whiskey. Pissed off Dan sits at the table and starts hitting the sauce. So Dan's getting sauce. He's like, "Can you believe this shit?" And the planchette goes to yes. Then H-A, and catches fire. Dan gets up, flips the table, stomps out the flame, and goes up to his bedroom. Up in his bedroom, he finishes this bottle of whiskey. And there's a picture frame of him and Karen on the night table. He throws, pissed off, he throws the bottle at the picture frame. Dan is levitated up and thrown into that night table and then back across the room. We're at Karen's house now. Karen walks in, finds her parents, older couple in their 60s with their younger son, Karen's younger brother Brian Davis. And they want Karen to come sit down and watch the movie with them. Karen just wants to go to her room. Brian wants to come with her. So she's like, fine, okay, squirt, let's go. Later on that night, her and Brian are laying in her bed watching a movie, and they hear a thud come from downstairs. So naturally, they go check it out. So they go to check it out. Brian's scared. He's right by his sister's side. They go walking down the stairs. They're looking around. They look at the kitchen, nothing. They look at the living room. There, their parents, dead, knife wounds in their head, throats slashed. And there's Dan, eyes black, face emotionless, blood dripping from the kitchen knife. And he starts to approach them. Karen and Brian go running upstairs, and she tells Brian to go run and hide and call the police. Dan follows her up the steps. Brian runs into one of the bedrooms. He comes up. She's cornered. She has nowhere to go. He grabs her by the throat, slams her up against the wall, and lifts her up. Karen is elevated. She's being choked out. Her feet are kicking. And Brian comes and hits Dan in the back with the baseball bat. Dan just drops Karen, turns around and backhands Brian. He goes tumbling down the stairs unconscious. Karen jumps on Dan's back. The two go tumbling down the stairs. Dan gets up, picks up Karen, smashes her face into the mirror, then smashes her through the glass coffee table, then throws her to the back door. Dan approaches her, knife in hand. He gets to her, he raises the knife, and he's pushed from behind by Brian. Brian trips over Karen, tumbles down the cement steps into the backyard, unconscious, knife stabbed in his shoulder. And Brian goes to console his sister. At this point, the police arrive. They ask Brian if he was the one that called and where this guy is. Brian goes to show him. He walks the officer to the back door, and Dan is gone. Thank you for your time.